Alright, so people, Ryan Garcia defeats Mario Barrios by 12 round unanimous decision to capture the WBC welterweight title in what was really emphatic fashion. Very clear win here from Ryan Garcia. Of course, by decision, like I said it would be. And yeah, man, he pretty much won every round for me. There wasn't really even moments in rounds that you could really give to Barrios. It was a complete and total utter domination from Ryan Garcia. I'd say the only things I didn't call were the knockdowns. I didn't think the knockdowns would be there, but Ryan Garcia came out the gates firing, letting go of that right hand again, which was really good to see. I mentioned in my video my prediction that he can get just a bit left hook happy and really lets down the rest of his shot selection. I said when he used to utilise his jab, he actually has a pretty decent jab. He utilised his jab here, was kind of framing with it, and then was letting go of the right hands, which ultimately dropped Mario Barrios very, very early in the fight. And I thought from there he was going to continue framing with it and then bring the left hook through. That didn't really happen. I thought he was, after I saw that, I thought he was going to get the finish, and I thought that was how he was going to do it. But carried on framing the left, bringing right hands behind it. I thought the left hook would eventually come and that'd finish the fight, but it didn't. It more went the way I said it was going to go in my prediction, and that would be the hand speed. I think it was of Ryan Garcia simply was just too much for Mario Barrios, and Barrios didn't really let go of anything much other than his jab and a few moments in the fight where he tried to let his hands go. But Ryan was really, really quick on his feet that night, and was keeping out of the way of Barrios' shots really, really, really well whenever Barrios was throwing. And yeah, man, it was just total domination from Ryan Garcia, really. There isn't really much you can say. It wasn't the most entertaining fight in the world. Barrios didn't really have much success. I really thought he would have tightened up his defense a little bit, but there were no noticeable improvements in Barrios' game at all. Yeah, it really worried me. Obviously, him teaming up with Joe Goosen never really. I don't consider Joe Goosen a particularly good trainer, and I know he used to train Ryan Garcia, but he was only really with Garcia for about 3 fights. And the thing with Ryan Garcia is there's not much a trainer can tell you about him that isn't already out there. The weaknesses of Ryan Garcia are clear to see. Sometimes it's his mindset. All the time it is his openness, his lack of fundamentals. He is there to be countered. If you have the correct timing and accuracy, you can catch him. That's clear to see for most. And yeah, so I didn't really think the trainer was going to be a big deal. And yeah, man, Barrios showed little improvements, really did, and it was really worrying going into the fight. Obviously, I don't watch all the interviews and that. Barrios isn't a character I find particularly entertaining. But I heard on the broadcast before the fight that he had teamed up with Joe Goosen, not even really because of Ryan, really just to help himself offensively, which for Barrios does sound good. Obviously, like I said, he tends to get negative in fights and kind of goes into a shell, goes into a box, and doesn't really let his hands go. But against Ryan Garcia, that's a big worry that he was going to be focused on being more offensive. Not that it really played a factor in the fight. It really on the night gave me it really verified to me that I thought Ryan had it in the bag pretty handedly, and he did. It's an interesting division right now. The champions are Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Roddy Romero, and Lewis Crocker. Of course, the fight everyone wants to see would be the Devin Haney rematch. I think that's what should be next for Ryan. That seems like the most logical fight. A Roddy Romero rematch with a Ryan Garcia who's on his game is interesting, but Roddy Romero fought to a very, very good disciplined game plan that night, and kind of, even if the best version of Ryan Garcia shows up, that is an interesting fight. That's definitely a close fight. Lewis Crocker is actually a little bit interesting. Lewis Crocker is probably one of the worst champions in boxing, but with the display he put on against Paddy Donovan last time out, was a bit of a counter-punching display. He was just really, 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 really negative with his output. Against Ryan Garcia, it could make some interesting moments, but you'd have to give Ryan a nod in that fight. Yeah, the Haney fight's definitely next. And in shape, on his game mentally, Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, who's going to be hungry for revenge, is a really, really interesting fight, because I don't think either man fought to their strengths last time. I really don't think either man was in good form in their last fight. So a rematch would be it is the fight. I don't want to see I don't want to see them put on the same card. There's no reason for that. They're both active. Haney just fought in November against Brian Ulmer Jr., picking up a very good win and picking up a world title. Garcia just fought this month in February, picking up a world title. Let's get it on. Welterweight unification fight. Let's not make fights in the meantime and try and unify the division so they clash for undisputed. Let's just get it on now. Let's get the big fight on now. We've been waiting 2 years for it. I think nearly 3 years for it actually. That's definitely the fight. There's no other fight that can be made. The Shakur fight has been talked about a little bit. That doesn't interest me particularly. I wouldn't mind seeing Shakur just stick around at 140 for now. I don't think he's going to go down to 135, seeing as he hasn't got his world title anymore. I'd like to see Shakur stick around at 140 because I think that's a pretty wide open division for him. Looking at the other champions there, like Gary Anton Russell, who is a little bit overrated for my liking and seems tailor-made for Shakur. But yeah, man, as for Mario Barrios, I really don't know where he goes from here. Maybe he should look to move up to 154, maybe look to secure... I don't know, man. There's not many fights out there for him, really, because he's not really much of a draw. He is not rated highly by the boxing public, really. He is a good fighter, but he isn't really rated. Doesn't really bring anything to the table commercially. I mean, the best he can hope for is maybe a Keith Thurman loss against Sebastian Fundora and maybe get that rematch on. I think Tim Tszю's fighting Errol Spence. Israel Madrimov's floating about in that division. Serhei Bohachuk. Virgil Ortiz and Boots are going to have fights, but we don't know if it's going to be against each other. He's in a really interesting place. I don't really know what you do with Mario Barrios. Maybe he does stick around at 147. He's in a very interesting spot in his career. He's probably just going to have a few low-key fights and maybe should try and secure a big one at some point. But the future doesn't look very, very bright for him. This is his third defeat. All to good fighters, Gervonta Davis, Keith Thurman and Ryan Garcia. There's no shame in any of those. I mean, the Pacquiao rematch isn't there because Pacquiao's probably going to be fighting Floyd later this year. I don't know what's there for him. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Mario Barrios, obviously I'm not going to tell him to call it a day because he shouldn't. He's young enough. He's still in form, I guess. But in terms of what's next for him, I have absolutely no clue. I don't know. Maybe he should take a year off and see how things play out. But yeah, that's been my post-fight reaction. I'm sorry it was a bit late, but I wouldn't have been able to make one yesterday. It was just too early in the morning. It would have been all over the place. But yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.